Welcome back to another episode of the Where Zone podcast, hosted by Chandler Danzler. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch on YouTube. Today we have 2024 left-handed pitcher, Georgia Tech commit Joshua Evans. We're pumped to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, for sure. Before we start digging into travel ball, high school, and the recruiting process, I'd like to ask this question here first. Who is Joshua Evans, and how would you introduce yourself?
I was introduced myself. From Atlanta, Georgia. Not only a left-handed pitcher, but I also play outfield as well. I would introduce myself as being a Christian, so I live by faith, and I was always built up that way. And I've been playing baseball since the age of 3. I actually played 2 sports, baseball and football.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Can you kind of take us through that travel ball career? Take us through how you started playing with the Pro Stock Baseball Club and tell us who you played for before them. Just kind of take us through that whole entire travel ball career.
So actually, before Pro Star, I actually played with 360 Hawks. So that was with Coach JoJo, and I was with him for a long time. And I kind of, grew up, and that's where I really learned baseball. And I traveled and went to Cooperstown and such. And then when I transferred to Pro Stock, I was with under Coach Travis Austin, and he really developed me. He really believed in me, and I was kind of in a rough patch, just trying to learn pitching because I was always
Hmm.
having a good arm, but I never really knew pitching everything that came with it. So he
Yeah,
seen my struggle, and he kept building me, kept developing me, and that's what really took me to the next level. So Pro Stock was definitely a big section of my life that I definitely needed. And then from there, I went and played with MLB Breakthrough Series in the fall at Jupiter.
gotcha. That's awesome. All right. Can you kind of talk about that summer with the Pro Stock Baseball Club as far as your performance and kind of the team's performance?
So performance in the team's performance in the very beginning, it wasn't too hot at first because I was definitely still learning certain things. And as the progression, as we got later into the season, things started clicking, everything started coming along, and with more experience came more confidence as well. So not
Hmm.
just us, but for the team as well. So Ryan Mitchell, we pretty much loaded. Ryan Mitchell, Ethan Murray, Adrian at Parkview. So we definitely had the guys, and everything started coming together closer to the end of the summer.
That's awesome. All right. You told me this fall you played with the 2024 MLB Breakthrough Series. Can you kind of talk about how you got connected with them and what that experience was like?
So I actually played. I was first introduced by an event in Florida. So if you make the top 44, you get sent to the Atlanta Braves Stadium, and it was an amazing event, Hank Aaron event. I definitely recommend it. Had an amazing time, and so since that event, I got recommended for the Breakthrough Series, and I pretty much knew the guys, knew the staff. I worked with them, and I really had a great time just knowing them and blending them, and the chemistry and everything we had. Of course, we were stacked, but it was more than that. It was like a brotherhood and a lot of
Yeah.
memorable things. Yes, sir.
For sure. That's awesome. All right. This fall, you're up to 94. Can you kind of talk about the process of gaining speed every year?
That process, I really start off even back to when I was just throwing mid 80s and throwing the football consistently and getting stronger, and especially going to full count. Over time, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting my arm stronger. That's helped me in many ways. Like I really feel like throwing the football and being a quarterback is really just helped me tremendously on the mound as well. The spiral and everything. So
Yeah,
doing that for amount of time and then going to full count as well, and also working on those things, it went through the roof, honestly.
that's great. All right. What are some things you were kind of working on this fall to get ready for this spring season?
Things this fall were just getting stronger. I really want to get stronger. I really wanted to bulk up the right way. Really, honestly, just be able to understand my weaknesses mentally as well and be able to work on those things. So physically, I felt like I had the capabilities, but mentally, I want to be able to make sure, okay, if 0-2, I want to strike this guy out now, not even give it a chance. So
Yeah,
definitely mentally as well has been one of the bigger things I've been working on. But going to full count 4 times a week and creating a schedule for myself has kept me in shape as well.
that's great. All right. Let's kind of talk a little bit about high school now. You play for Peachtree Ridge High School. Let's talk a bit about last season here first. You guys went 14 and 16, 6 and 6 in the region. Can you talk a bit about the performance last season?
So last season, I'll describe it as a roller coaster. Honestly, I mean, we had highs, really highs, and then we had lows. So even being the team like Mount Parent, that was a great team. They had, I think, we was almost one of their. They barely had any losses that season. And so
Hmm.
to beat a team like that, and then other times we play a team that's not really of our caliber, and to lose, it was really just highs and lows and roller coasters. And honestly, that last season was definitely growth and something we can learn from, and
Hmm.
those good games, the takeaway seeing, okay, why were we successful and kind of trying to implement those things into now in this year.
Yeah, for sure. All right. There's a lot of memories to be made in high school. Did you have any favorite memories last season on the field or off the field?
Favorite memory, I would say beating Buford actually. And even though we didn't win the whole series and they beat us 2-1, just winning one of those games, and also we never actually won a game, a playoff game in a long time. And just be able to do that and say, okay, and try to leave a legacy, that was one of the bigger things for sure. It meant a lot to us.
That's awesome. All right. What are some of your favorite things about the high school season?
Favorite things about the high school season is just the bond, the brotherhood. I mean, I've been around these guys since 10U, playing
Yeah,
picture since 10U. So I grew up with them. I know them very well. They know me very well. And to be on the field and be competitive with them and just bond with them, it means a lot to me. So just being around those guys all the time, though, that's my best moments.
for sure. Let's talk. Let's dig in a little bit about this year. As of today, you guys are 4-4. Talk a bit about those first 8 games and how the team's performing.
So it's kind of been a mixture as well, trying to feel some things out. It's kind of rocky in the beginning, I can say, but now that we're getting to region, we kind of understand those things that are working for us, just not putting too much pressure on ourselves. I mean, we have non-commits almost, so it feels like a lot of eyes are on us a lot of the time, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that we have to live up to those expectations. So once we get down in Hoover and we started having conversation and figure out getting the seniors together, it's like, okay, we understand what's working for us. Let's just play the game that we've been playing ever since we were young. So
Yeah,
we're definitely looking for bigger changes now going into region. So that's definitely something we had to learn as well.
for sure. All right. What is your main individual goal this spring season, your senior season? Like, what is your main goal?
My main goal, honestly, is winning region champions. That's the biggest thing, and also hosting a home playoff game at Ridge as well. So those are definitely the main goals I want to do, and making it deep into the playoffs, not just the first round, but a seed and past the first round. Those are
Yeah,
definitely big goals. Yes,
definitely.
sir.
All right. This is kind of a tough question here. I want to ask it. How do you
Okay.
compare the difference of high school and travel ball, and which one would you prefer more?
High school and travel ball, I feel like it's a difference in the aspect of just the environment, the competitive environment. I mean, when you go to travel ball, you're playing the best of the best. I mean, it's no
Yeah,
doubt about it. And everyone's stacked on that lineup. But then you go to travel ball, it's like, okay, I mean, you go to high school ball, it's like, okay, these are the guys I grew up with. I mean, I'm around them. It's the community and everything like that. So I just feel like it's just like travel ball is for show, like just to get showcased and having the best guys
yeah,
on the roster. And then you have guys in the high school you grew up with in your community. So you're more connected to, I would say. That's
for
the
sure.
biggest thing.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
definitely. All right. Let's talk a little bit about that recruiting process. When did you start getting noticed, and when did you first commit to the University of Georgia?
So I would say I started getting noticed my sophomore year. My sophomore year, I would say I was getting noticed kind of going into my junior year. And my first offer actually was the University of Georgia. So it kind of played a good factor and a bad factor, from some schools. Some schools didn't want to talk to me because they just felt like, okay, that's where I'm going to go anyway. And then it
Yeah,
was also definitely a big factor as well because, that's to me in that time, that was one of the better schools. And I really love that school for sure. And then as going through the process and having the new staff come in at Georgia, and then some things kind of changing, I definitely wanted to stay in Georgia. And so when Georgia Tech came around and I went on the campus and I met with the coaches, I mean, it really blew my mind. Off the official visit, off the first time at Georgia Tech, I knew I wanted to commit there, and that's where I wanted to be. And I definitely feel like everything happens for a reason. So, yes, sir.
for sure. What did that mean to you and your family after you committed to Georgia, then committed to Georgia Tech?
To me, and my family, it was really a blessing in disguise. So, because for so long I thought I was going to Georgia, and I knew I was going to be somewhere in the area, but to finally get to Georgia Tech and have the conversation with Danny Hall, the head coach, and hear about everything they stand for, and just even knowing guys who's already there and building connection, I mean, it was definitely just like, wow, like we could have been missing out on this and not even know. So it was definitely just I can call a blessing in disguise for sure.
For sure, that's awesome. Like as you were kind of comparing schools, what were some things you were looking for talking to those college coaches?
Definitely staying relatively close to home. I feel like family is one of the bigger things that means something to me. So being accessible towards family. Also the coaches and what they stand for. Not just, of course, you want to win, but making sure that they can develop you and you can work with them and build chemistry. So even looking at the pitching aspect and what they do in track man and how everything works, those things definitely meant a lot to me.
Yeah, can you kind of dig into more about that official visit you went on? What was it like? What did you do? How many days it was? Can you kind of dig into a little bit more about that?
So it was one day that I actually went. When I got down there, they already had everything set up. So
Mm-hmm.
we just obviously had conversations. We took pictures. They let my brother actually get in the pictures as well. So that meant
That's
something
awesome.
to me. Went around the campus a little bit. Then we went out to lunch. And I sat down actually with the head coach, and he was sitting down with my family as well. And, they paid for the lunch and everything. It was just really a great time and just, connecting on some certain things. And after that, we had went back, ate some food, and then we had headed to the football game. And so we're walking through campus, it's nighttime and everything's going on. You're seeing all the people. And I think they played Syracuse that night. And they won that night as well. So it just made the night that much better. So that was kind of the whole night, the whole day in a clump. But yeah, I definitely had a great time for sure.
That's awesome. Kind of talk about that environment at the football game.
Mm-hmm. So the football game, I mean, it was electric. It really was. That field is super nice. And then just the setup and being in Atlanta and just the whole field, it really felt like home. And also Georgia Tech just being they're really on a come up, really. I mean,
Yeah,
especially for
sure.
football as well. And yeah, it's definitely a great thing to be a part of for sure. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. All right, what advice would you kind of give other people getting into that recruiting process, talking to those college coaches?
The main advice I would give is don't go to a school based off a name or how everything else perceives it. I would say go to a school that fits for you, that you actually can blend with the coaches and really just getting to know them for who they really are. That's the main thing I would give advice to.
Gotcha. All right, let's kind of dig into training here. Can you talk a little bit about where you train at during the season and during the off season?
So during the offseason, I was at full count, going 4 times a week, throwing bullpens, getting metrics, getting my numbers, and really working on my craft. And then as we're getting into season at my high school, we actually have plyos and everything that I actually need at the high school as well. So doing that, obviously getting the lift in the morning, and then be able to go practice and work on my bands and anything I need. So I pretty much been at the high school in
That's
season.
great. All right, what does training kind of look like you for in season? Like how many days a week? What's it look like for you in season? What does it kind of look like you for the off season? Like how many days a week?
Mm-hmm. So off season, I was going 4 times a week, working out probably 5 times a week. So I had more times in my hand, not obviously playing games. So I was able to get nutrition in and really work on my body. Yes, sir. So working 5 times a week, going to full count 4 times a week right after school. And that was kind of the cycle that I would do. And then getting into the season, now it's been like, okay, I can long toss probably 3 days after my starts and then be able to rest and recovery obviously after my game. And
Yeah,
then after that, be able to lift. So I have actual weight training class at my school. So I can lift in the morning times and then, transition to my classes. So lifting 4 times a week and then be able to do recovery as well.
that's great. All right, what kind of motivates you to go to the gym every day and get that extra work in at the field?
I really feel like, especially going to big events like Jupiter and just seeing everybody that's out there, you can't be complacent at all. And especially in baseball, there's always somebody out there working harder than you. And
Yep,
obviously, guys will tell me that. And now, really seeing it's like, okay, it's really out there. And so, in order to be the best, you have to be working when nobody else is working. And so,
yep.
training, that's one of the biggest thing I've been trying to set myself apart, getting stronger, helping myself mentally as well. That's definitely something that's been more important to me, and that's something I've had to learn when I was younger that I didn't really take too serious.
All right, we're gonna get into the quick, fast questions here, getting down to the end. What do you think Joshua's life looks like in about 3 to 4 years from now?
3 to 4 years from now, obviously the goal is going to the draft and being the MLB, but I would say being very successful, really being confident. I definitely saying I would be blossoming. And obviously, I really see myself in the major leagues in 3 to 4 years from now. I see myself in the major leagues, and I see myself helping people around me as well 3 to 4 years from now.
That's great. All right, if you could pick one brand deal to collab with, what brand would it be?
One brand deal, I would say 44. I like 44.
For
44 Pro Gloves. Yes, sir.
for sure. All right, what is your pregame artist or song before a game?
Pre-game artist, Alex John. So he's like a Christian rap. Christian. I really like
Uh-huh.
him. I've been listening to him more so now. I would say him. Yes, sir.
All right, we got a couple more questions here. What do you do kind of in your free time outside of sports when you're not doing anything?
Free time. Um, Outside of sports, I really just, I mean, if I hang it out with my friends, I'll go with my friends sometimes.
Hmm.
Either going to the field where they may be, or even just going to the movies and relaxing with my guys from my high school. I
Yeah.
feel like it's great chemistry, and there's obviously a lot of things to do around Atlanta for sure.
For sure. All right. If you could give any advice to any young baseball player, what would you say to them?
I would say just play the game that you love, but also understand about having a schedule day to day. While you're, you know what I'm saying, don't make sure you have a balance between the two. Of course, you're going to have fun, but make sure you get your work in as well. And that's something I had to learn as I got older. And that would definitely help in the long run for sure. So it's not hard when you get older.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, Joshua, for
Yes,
coming on the
sir.
podcast, and good luck with your senior season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.